Are enterprise IT technical leaders just repeating each other's ideas? This may be the case. Let's talk about it. So welcome back to AI Insights Innovation, where we talk about the realities of AI and how it needs to be deployed and used correctly in the enterprise. My name's David Linthicum, AI analyst, author, speaker. Let's get going. So what we're seeing right now is that major enterprise IT vendors appear to be stuck, I think, in an echo chamber is the best way to describe it. They're, constantly reiterating familiar concepts right now, and incremental improvements are made rather than introducing groundbreaking ideas. And it's weird if I'm saying this in 2025, right in the middle of the AI boom or the agentic AI boom or whatever you want to talk about. But if you look at the actual new ideas that are out there amongst the noise, there aren't many, and there's certainly not going to be new ideas that are provided by the big technology providers that can spend many hundreds of millions of dollars on R&D, where many of the startups are just have a smaller pile of money. So the lack of true novelty suggests a deeper issue within the industry's approach to innovation. I think that we're not valuing innovation as much as we did 20, 30 years ago. There was always net new ideas, the invention and the rise of the internet, client server, distributed objects, all these things that kind of came along that revolutionized the way in which we do software development and systems deployment within the enterprise. And a lot of those new ideas have seemed to be executed, found their place of value. And many of the new things, at least probably in the last 3 or 4 years, have not found their way into the enterprise market. And it's interesting to see how we're a bit in an innovation desert right now, best I can describe it. So the recent HPE Discovery conference held this week is a case study in this kind of repetition, a recent HPE Discovery conference that was held in Vegas. And it showcased new products, largely highlighted trends of refining existing technologies. In other words, what I took away from in looking at the news events that occurred out of that conference was there's really nothing net new that can be pointed at. It's refinement of existing ideas and re-releasing of existing ideas, or jumping on the bandwagon around innovation that occurred elsewhere. And so it was a good microcosm for the broader industry problem that I'm kind of identifying here, where the themes are hybrid cloud, AI integration, are repackaged rather than fundamentally refined. So you come away from those events expecting to hear something that is truly new news. In other words, new innovations, new ways of doing something, rethinking things that are done now that need to be done differently. And that doesn't seem to be happening anymore. Not picking on HPE, this seems to be a problem with most of the major technology providers that are out there, inclusive of the cloud providers. So there's an illusion of innovation out there. So we're often presented with buzzwords and grand visions, but upon closer inspection, most of the innovation in enterprise IT is merely optimization or rebranding of what already exists. And just basically restating what I just stated is that I'm just seeing churn and iteration of existing technologies. And certainly generative AI or agentic are everybody's focus now, but there's really nothing new that's being created around those spaces. They're talking about optimization of running these systems. They're talking about integration with existing legacy systems, process iterations of tools, operation optimization, things like that. Things that aren't really game changing. And so we seem to be hitting a wall in terms of new innovations out there. And this creates an illusion of progress that masks, I think, a deeper stagnation. So in other words, the enterprises out there are not taking risks, I think, that they did many years ago, where you put out ideas and you put out concepts that may not catch on. And you just have to have the courage to do that, because you're going to be able to find the innovative differentiator if you're able to take this into the market. And you look at, organizations in the past that have, in essence, created innovations that define the marketplace, and that is something we rarely see these days. So why has this innovation stagnation occurred or is occurring? Well, several factors could be contributing to this perceived innovation drought. Market consolidations occurring right now. I think there's a big aversion to risk. They view the market and the state of the economy as being a bit of a risk, so therefore they're not taking risks that are going to cost them money and could result in a big loss. And the large vendors are in essence playing the same game. They're focused on maximizing revenue from the established products and perhaps even genuine saturation of truly disruptive foundational technologies in certain areas. So I think the ultimate victim here are the enterprises that are consuming the technology. So the lack of genuine innovation means enterprises aren't getting the truly transformative tools that they need to leapfrog competitors or solve complex and emerging challenges. So the innovative differentiator that enterprises are looking to create right now, using AI and other technologies, obviously, that seems to be the move out there in the space. They're not necessarily finding the technologies that are going to provide the true innovative differentiators. Obviously, there's generative AI and agentic AI, and we're improving the processes and building those technologies all the time. But generative AI is 3-4 years old now in terms of the boom that occurred around it. It's old, way older as a concept. And if you look at agentic, it's something was basically kind of brought back from an architectural use case of 20 years ago. And it definitely is going to have value, but it's not applicable in every problem domain, just like generative AI is not applicable in every problem domain. It's not going to have the business case and not going to be able to provide the value or bring value back to the business. So the enterprises are looking for this eureka moment where they're able to see functional technology, such as the rise of the web, the rise of the PC, move to distributed computing, the rise of the internet, all this kind of stuff that really kind of changed the game many years ago. They're not seeing those kind of opportunities these days. And I think the big technology providers are not creating these opportunities where they should. So businesses might, be inadvertently limited by vendor offerings that prioritize stability and familiarity with revolutionary capabilities. And I think that's kind of the core problem that I'm stating here. So in other words, enterprises want to innovate because they need to innovate to break out of their market limitations right now. AI, for example, is an opportunity to do that. But the ability to truly innovate means creating, net new technology or leveraging net new technology that didn't exist a short time ago, that is able to change the game in terms of how we leverage technology is what it should be leveraged for enterprises as a true force multiplier. In other words, our ability to leverage it as a weapon that allows us to win at business. And what I'm saying here, if they're going to use it as a weapon, the weapons manufacturers, the large enterprise technology IT companies out there, aren't doing a good job in creating innovative weaponry that they're able to take, to the battle of business. Use that odd analogy. So I think things need to change. I think that the big technology providers out there that have a lot of money and certainly can make a lot of movements in the industry right now, they need to focus on taking a bit more risks. They need to hire people that are disruptors that may not fit into their corporate culture, that are rethinking in terms of how the technology should be taken to the next level. And they're also innovating and creating new ideas. Obviously, the mantra in Silicon Valley has always been fail fast. I don't think that's a mantra anymore for these large enterprise players. I think they're to reduce failure as much as possible, maintain earnings per share, try to get the quarter-on-quarter revenue growth. And we understand that we're going to have to appear innovative, but as far as taking innovative risks, that's not something we're willing to do right now for whatever reason. So leadership needs to take hold of that as a concept, because you're going to end up dying the death of 1,000 cuts if you're a technology provider, if you're not looking at innovations that are going to increase your value in the marketplace. You're just going to iterate through the existing technology you have. You're going to start to shrink in market share, and you're going to have less of an ability to innovate. And I think that's going to hurt many businesses out there. And I think the enterprises are going to get hurt as well. That's all I have for this week. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, check out the other channels here on theCUBE. Research with my colleagues, a lot of great information here. Don't forget to check out the information that's coming at you via theCUBE, and they're going to conferences. They're reporting directly from conferences, and they're probably your best channel to tie into the information coming out of the enterprise IT technology industry right now. So check them out. So until next week, you guys stay safe. Cheers.